Hello. It's been a while. And if you're new, hi, I exist. I'm just a normal World Tanks player. Nothing special, nothing new. Just feel like talking about the game, I guess. Because why the fuck not? What was it? I had a talking point and I forgot it. Oh. So, I don't know. I was watching, what was it? Incoming's video. Towards the, I think it was the end of his best of 2020, like best moments of 2024 video. He was talking about how like, oh, I don't think you could ever balance the WT. Just a random talking point I thought about, and I'm like, I don't think that's true. I think you could balance it. I think you could balance the WT if you ask me. I mean, it's kind of like, you know, all the other things that they've balanced. I don't think it's impossible to balance a vehicle. I mean, if you ask me, it's kind of like, I don't know why, like, I don't know, there's like few vehicles I can think of that Wargaming just got really lazy on and just didn't want to touch and fuck with for some reason. I don't know, a good example to me would probably, again, so, fuck, let me get back to the point about talking about the WT though, the WT Alpha 100. Fucking goddamn it. But no, the point about the WTF 800 is like, okay, Wargaming could have just given it a single shot 128 or a single shot 150, kind of like what they did with the grill. But I mean, hey, that, or they could have lowered it down to, I don't know, like a Foch 155, just give it 3 shells and whatnot. Because I mean, the VZ exists, the TVP exists. Is there anything else with the non-loader? I guess there is that, like, that one Clan Wars reward tank, the 116 F3 or whatever the fuck it's called. There's that also exists. So, because people are like, oh, but the WT is overpowered because of blah blah blah, and it's like, okay, first it has like a minute long reload. It's paper thin armor. It's not retard proof like a few tanks that were released into the game that were retard proof at one point in time. And I mean, like, what, you clip someone out? Cool. It's the, like, I don't know. Like, sure, put it in the hands of a really good player, it can be overpowered, but put it in the hands of a bad player, I mean, it's kind of like, eh. If it is completely overpowered and broken in some aspect, then yeah, it's going to exponentially increase the stats of a really bad player and somehow just bring them back up because, you know, simply they're playing one tank. I guess you could say that WTF Alpha 100 was the only vehicle that allowed players to, god damn it, allowed players to seal club at tier 10. I don't like staring to the camera, I don't know why. Like just looking at the game. What else? But no, they could have, like I said, they could have given like 4, I mean, hell, even 4 rounds, 4 or 5, you know, whatever the fuck. Or how they could have just, instead of giving it 560, they could have given it the 490. Which, I mean, is a little more balanced, sure. I mean, it's like a slight difference in damage, not by a whole lot. Yeah, by like 70 damage, so I mean, it's not, you know, not a terrible amount. But, I don't know. Just feel like they could have easily balanced it, kind of like with the, they could have easily reworked the FE-125B instead of adding the Super Conqueror in. Or same thing with the FE-215B183 or the Death Star. Could have easily just, you know, made a separate fucking line like they did for the 120, or not 120, sorry. Kind of like what they did for the 277 and the 430. I mean, all they did was just add a tier 9, or add a tier 9. Or yeah, they just did this, and then move the 430 down, and then move this to the side, put this here. I don't know, to me it's just the same thing. They could have done that for this, but oh no, we're going to make it so that people can buy it at a fucking black market so we can earn extra dough, and it's like, really? Like, what the fuck? I think, again, it's like the same with the Foch 155. They could have easily just given these, like, either bigger guns, which we all know that half these things aren't even fucking real, so, and they also modify the stats on just about every fucking vehicle to begin with, because nothing stays historical. It's like, oh, but historically the mouse had 240, and now it has, like, I think 260, so, I mean, arcade reasons. But I don't know. I feel like they could have easily just tackled that, or hell, even just made an offshoot where it's like, okay, cool, the Fosh, and then you could create like, I don't know, some other weird fucking thing in between, and then have the Fosh be in the Fosh 155 and in the tech tree. And if people are talking about clutter, it's like, okay, the World Tanks tech tree used to be way more cluttered, where it's filled with so much nonsense, and that's why we have the quote-unquote collectors editions and like the collector's tanks, which are really just tech tree tanks that have been removed, and now you can just buy them, and they're technically now like reward tanks or collector tanks, or however you want to fucking put it, because of the whole specialness and whatnot behind it. Trying to think what else have they done. I mean, and then speaking of the whole balancing part that Wargaming does as well, is that it's like they either release a tank and it's completely overpowered and broken, and it destroys its whatever tier it's placed at. Like, I guess the best example I can think of is the 268 version 4. When this was fucking released, it was utterly broken. It destroyed tier 10 matchmaking for like the longest time, and then procedurally got nerfed little bit by little bit by little bit by little bit by little bit, until eventually found their fucking mark. And to go back to the WTF 100, I mean, yeah, they nerfed it a few different times, but they're like, oh, that wasn't enough. And it's like, okay, cool. And if that isn't enough of an example, I mean, they did that with the Kranvagn. I remember when the Kranvagn had entered the game. What was it? Sorry. The Kranvagn had entered the game. It was pretty much perceived to be kind of just useless, because it's like a slower 50B, slower T-57 heavy. Didn't really have the DPM to match either one of them, but the only thing it had was like insane armor. And then it was kind of just forgotten about. And then Wargaming was like, hey, after collecting useless data for like years on end, we're like gonna buff this tank into like overpowered levels, and it became part of the whole down meta, which is fucking insane. So that's cool. That was great. I'm looking at you fucking Clan War players. I know that you fucking suffered the most. Between chieftains and fucking Kranvagns. No thank you. Never would I would want to get involved in that. Not to mention, it's gotta be boring as fuck to be pixel sniping or doing stuff in ranked. Fuck that. But, and then, I don't know, not too long ago, they just obliterated the Kranvagn, and it's pretty much faded into obscurity. I almost see none of them at tier 10 anymore on NA. I play on NA. If that wasn't, you know, overly abundantly clear of the USC. But, yeah, I don't know. Just like the fact that they kind of like released this tank, then left it alone for a bit, then buffed the ever-living hell out of it, and then pretty much just utterly obliterated it. It's kind of like with the Progetto 65 that they also did. I don't know if this tank ever got a buff. I never really looked into it. All I know is that Wargaming has been fucking slowly been beating it to death, like more and more and more and more and more and more. I have seen on subreddit like 1,000 different times people are talking about, they're like, stop, it's already dead. You don't need to keep beating a dead horse. It's like, yeah, I think I understand that aspect. It's like troll armor, sure. I don't know what made it a potentially good or powerful tank of any kind, but hey, I'm not an auto-reloaded player. I wouldn't know. Trying to think. It's like with the Type 5. I remember this is my first tier 10, and I remember when it got released into the game, it was considered overpowered because people didn't know how to pen it, and then eventually people just started using their brain cells, pressing 2 key and just watching it go and disappear, and then it faded into obscurity. Then Wargaming came back and was like, okay, cool, we're gonna buff the armor. Wasn't enough, so like, okay, cool, then we're gonna give it a 150 that has insane damage values. Standard shell, for its standard HE shell, 1100 damage with like, I think like 90 or 85 pen, something like that. Pen around like artillery levels. Damage, almost old artillery, retarded. And then the premium shell had 1400 damage, and it was kind of just retarded. It's like, oh, cool. It's like, I don't know why, but when you shot a standard HE shell out of the original 150, you would do like, I think on average of like 2 to like maybe 400 damage. And then with the 150, you would do on average of like 4 to like 600 damage. It was ridiculous. It's like a 300 damage increase, and yet you're doing exponentially way more damage. It was bonkers. So, added on with the insane armor and almost no weak spots for the vehicle, and then add a really powerful gun. Type 5 at one point in time was meta, and it was overpowered. Excuse me. For mostly pubs. Everything I'm talking about is for pubs. I don't really play Clan Wars. I don't give a shit. I'm not that sweaty, I guess. Not throwing shade, but not me. Then they like nerfed the 150 to what it is now, where the standard shells have, both HE shells have 910 damage. Standard HE shell has 75 pen. The gold HE shell has 192 pen, which is good, but at the same time it's HE. HE doesn't really reliably pen stuff, especially when you're shooting at other like heavy tanks and other things that don't have a lot of fucking armor. Most of the time, everything I've shot at has just been orange, and sometimes it sort of pens or half pens or anything in between. And then, yeah, I mean, it's kind of been here. And then speaking of tanks that Wargaming has reworked entirely, and again, I still say Wargaming is extremely fucking lazy when not reworking just, what was it, like 3 vehicles? Technically 4. Yeah, 4 vehicles. Like, and what are the 4 vehicles? Well, let's see, the WTLP 100, the Foch 155, or actually, sorry, 5, yeah, 5 vehicles, yeah, the WTLP 100, the Foch 155, the FV 4202, which is now a tier 8 premium tank, the FE 215B, and the FE 215B 183. Could have easily either reworked them and whatnot. And probably thinking, oh, but what vehicles did they rework entirely? Well, they reworked the fucking STB1, so now it's a literal DPM sniper or something along those lines, but it's mostly just DPM related, if I'm not mistaken, and the fact that it also has the hydropneumatic suspension that the STRV had, because, you know, every nation has to have their own, like, unique shit. It's like, I think it was, like, what? But yeah, like, every country has to have their own, like, unique values, and it's like, it's only for them. Other nations now are starting to get those, thankfully. But no, I mean, STB1 was one of the vehicles that they reworked, and then the other one that they ended up reworking was the Leopard 1, and it just became a sniper. And as far as I know, it's pretty fucking good. It's got good mobility. I want to say decent camo, I'm not sure. Not gonna click on it, don't give a shit. Not gonna look into the details too much. I mean, penetration values are fucking amazing. I think it's like 270 base pen, something is like 270, 260, something like that. I can't remember off the top of my head. It's like, it's the same levels of base pen that Eve Hithium gets. But yeah, it's a sniper. It's pretty much just a sniper. Not a brawler. Doesn't have any armor. Good mobility. Like I said, I think it has good camo, if I'm not mistaken. And then I think it's got decent DPM, but I mean, other than that, yeah, they pretty much reworked those 2 tier 10s and they became relevant again. Because for a while, the Leopard 1 was just kind of like a light tank, but with a bigger gun, because it had like almost no armor. And then, started, just to give a little bit of context, I started playing the game in like 2015, so all I remember the Leopard line is just hearing of how bad the ammo rack was, because it's like, if you took one shot, no matter where you were fucking hit, hell, you could be shot in the fucking track or the barrel, it's like, ammo rack, ammo rack, ammo rack, ammo rack, and it's like, okay, cool, I am not touching that line, fuck that. No. And then the STB1 was just pretty much just never touched. I don't remember the exact reasons to why people just never touched it. I don't know if it's because it was just a bad tank, or the fact that it just didn't have any armor, or the fact that it didn't have mobility, DPM, dispersion, don't know, don't really remember, don't really fucking care at this point. It's far gone stuff, and we're now in fucking 2025, so hey, that's cool. Is there anything else I can think of? Oh, the other thing I don't understand is why Wargaming shortchanged light tanks so badly. Like, they completely and utterly screwed over light tanks. That's one thing that still bothers me to this day. they're like, oh, but light tanks would be overpowered because medium tanks totally aren't overpowered at all. No, 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 no. It's not like we have a 907 or something. No, no. They can't have 4,000 DPM. No, no. We have to give light tanks the worst penetration values. We have to give them, however, they have a lot of speed and they have terrible fucking damage per shot. Yeah, was it speed and camo? Or sorry, speed, camo, and view range are their fucking things. And Board Gaming was like, oh, but we don't want to make tier 10 light tanks. Fuck, what was it? Overpowered because they're like, oh, but then it's like, but they don't have any armor. It's like, the fuck? And we're already to the point where bush mechanics are really broken in the game as it is. You can sit inside of a single fucking tree and not be spotted, and still shoot and still not be spotted. It's like, what the fuck is the point? It's like light tanks. I mean, and people say that the EBR, some, maybe not all, but some say the EBR 105 is either OP and broken, others say it's useless and garbage. Don't really know, don't play the vehicle, don't give a shit. I'm not that type of light tank player. I like playing, I don't know, you'll see even 90 for an example, but I don't see myself playing, you know, all the way up and grinding to tier 10. Just like, I think I'm good. There's too much pressure from that. I don't want that pressure. I think I'm good. I'm good just being the dumb fucking heavy tank that goes into like an area, does a little bit of brawling, loses half my HP, and maybe come out unscathed, who knows. I'm fine with that. Medium tanks are a little bit more pressure, but not too bad. Is there anything else I want to talk about? Oh, and the other thing I don't really understand is like why they added this in and moved this down. And like, I know some people are going to be like, oh, but the 263 is now technically more stronger than it was before, but it has nerf stats. It's like, oh, but it's tier 9. Now he gets to fight tier 7s. And at worst, you get to fight tier 10s. Oh no, what shall you ever do? And it's like, but still, I think it was a good tier 10. And not to mention, I think a lot of people, I say a lot of people, I'm not, you know, certified or anything like that. Take everything with a grain of fucking salt. Short. That, I mean, it was, to me, whenever I used it on the test server, never had it before, obviously, because I don't have it fucking researched. But when I played it on the test server, because I never really played tier 10, because back then, I don't know how long ago this was, maybe 2016, 2017, something like that, just fucking around on the test server, because why the fuck not? Because you can research everything like that, even though it should have been researched. But no, I remember using it and just having a good time, bouncing everything and doing fuckloads of damage, and it's like, imagine that. It's like, it's a really strong tank. It kind of reminds me of the Tortoise. I don't know, then... And then I guess the other thing I'll bring up is the fact that I feel like people kind of play certain vehicles in a wrong manner. It's kind of like the 268. I don't know why, but I think a lot of people originally thought this vehicle was, or at least I feel like a lot of people would misunderstand and play this vehicle a lot and think, oh, it's clearly a Russian tank, so it has mobility, it has armor, and it has a gun. So clearly I meant to rush forward and do stuff. And it's like, no, I have this tank built out for dispersion, DPM primarily, and camo. Think about why the fuck would you use camo on it? I mean, stationary, it's fine, because it's like, what? Yeah, 53. I'm sure after you fire, it's pretty fucking useless, but if you wait long enough, I mean, you can just sit there and kind of just spot motherfuckers. Just saying. I don't know. You got that DPM, you've got the fucking camo, you've got the mobility, and you've got troll-like armor. I mean, might as well use it, right? It's kind of like the same thing with the Foch 155. I mean, I was just kind of fucking around with the camo shit. I don't mind resetting crew if I have to, but 31 ain't that bad. And I think once this gets maxed out, hold on. If it's only 32, then maybe not, but still, I mean, 30 seems pretty decent for a tank like this and whatnot. Is there anything else I want to talk about? Any other talking point? I don't do fucking scripts and other shit because I'm not that. ADHD doesn't allow me to do a fucking script. Fuck that shit. I'll just talk whatever comes to the fucking mind. Do 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 do. Voodoo. Oh, that was the other thing. I don't understand this line. I think this is the most confusing line I have ever played, the Panzer 7 line. To be honest, the stock grind for the VK 45.2A, fucking atrocious. Once you get upgraded, I fucking loved it. I did, I think on average about maybe 1,000 to 3,000 damage. I mean, I fucking loved the vehicle. I thought it was phenomenal. Then I get to the VKB, the VK 45.02B, and I fucking despised it because the stock grind is fucking atrocious. It's like the Tiger 2 stock grind or the E75 stock grind. It's awful. I'm glad that in the upcoming patch they're fucking addressing the stock grind issue because Jesus fucking Christ, that shit's awful. You have what, an 88 or a fucking 105 that only has 200 pen, like ugh. And then not to mention your fucking turret armor is pretty much useless and garbage, so that's cool. It's like kind of just pussyfooting everywhere. But even after I got the VK 45.02B fully upgraded, I still felt like I was kind of useless, and I learned a few things about the vehicle towards the end of my grind, and what I hated about it. Yes, the useless turret and the useless gun. Better turret. Good gun. I prefer the 128. I mean, personally, or I'll just back to the factory real quick. I don't understand the point of researching the 105 when you can just research this and this gets you towards the Panzer 7 rather than having to waste XP on a gun that doesn't even matter. That's my biggest thing. If you like the vehicle enough and you want to add the field modification to it, by all means, go do that. I'm not gonna stop you. Whoops. No, so my big complaint about this tank is that whenever I side scraped, I felt like I was always getting penned on this side. And it's not like I was over angling to a point where it's like, I don't know, I was like this. Maybe I was over angling a little bit, but hey, you know, we all make faults and issues. We're human. But no, there's this here, flat fucking here. So was it 1 weak spot, 2 weak spot, 3 weak spot? When I'm fighting tier 9s and 10s, they can just shoot this with heat or whatever with a high enough pen. It just goes straight to the front here, and I fucking hate this. This roof armor is terrible. The cupola sticks out like a motherfucker. And then, like I said, side armor seems kind of fucking useless. And then the tier 10 plays nothing like this, because this is like the only vehicle in the line that allows you to reverse side scrape. And then the Panzer 7 is like a weird amalgamation. It's a funny thing about this tank, actually. I only got this tank. I only went up this line just because I have this skin. That is it. That is the only time I have ever done that for a tank. And do I like this tank? Oh, I fucking absolutely love it. It's amazing. Great damage per shot, great standard penetration, good gold pen. It's decently mobile, has good fucking armor. I can't complain about it. The only complaints I have are the abundant of weak spots, I suppose. Like, I don't know. I just, like, it feels weird to have a rear-mounted tank, or sorry, yeah, a rear-mounted turret on a tank where you're supposed to use really just this. This is your bread and butter here. This and your mid-bar. This is a weak spot. This corner over here is a weak spot. The cheeks are a weak spot, and the cupola is a weak spot. That's what, 1, 2, 3, 4. Sure, you could easily just say wiggle the turret, but if you do that too much, then all this stuff becomes fucking weak over here. And the problem is, you really can't side scrape because, I mean, I'm playing against, I don't know, I guess really skilled players most of the time because everyone can either just shoot here, 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 or if I'm just dumb enough and over angle like an idiot, then I get pinned here. I don't know, but to me, I just think the vehicle is great. Those are my only complaints about some of the weak spots. I'm not asking Wargaming to ever fucking buff the vehicle to a point where it just becomes insanely broken. It's kind of like, fuck. What was it? The E100. It's like, what was it? You have technically the turret ring. You have this corner here that's a weak spot. You have the top bar. You also have this down here. Angle your turret, and I mean, it's sort of okay, gonna work. I mean, even with the buff that the E100 was getting from 270 to 280. God, it's already a 24-minute video, fuck. But, no, it's kind of like with the mouse, though. I mean, I've kind of learned. At first, I thought the mouse was a useless dog shit piece of shit tier 10, and I didn't really understand it. And then I had a good friend of mine that plays the mouse quite regularly, and like he's proven to me that he's blocked like, I don't know, maybe 10,000 damage, done like 5 or 6,000, and done like a couple of different assistances. I've learned if you have a mouse player that understands their fucking tank, understands the weaknesses, and understands how to play the vehicle to its absolute perfection, if you place that guy in any choke point at all, the enemy is going to have a very hard time taking that motherfucker out, because he is going to absorb damage, take damage, and deal it out. Because the tank's got more than enough ammunition, it's got a fuckload of HP, actually the most HP in the game, it's got a ridiculous amount of armor, and it's good. I mean, hell, and plus the mobility is good with the fucking turbocharger, so I mean, hey, at the end of the day, it's fine. But, I don't know. I guess I've been enough rambling on for once, because I wanted to make a video about Royal Tanks, and I was like, okay, do I stream Royal Tanks or do I make a video? And I'm like, oh fuck, I'll just make a video. So, yeah. I know it's an informational video, it's not fucking entertaining, I'm sorry if it's not entertaining, but hey, I tried my best, hey. Okay, cool. See you later, bye.